This is an impressive, powerful antenna for the 70 centimeter 440 megahertz band with about 13 dB of gain that I built for about 25 bucks. I'll show you how I did it. This is a Quagi antenna. It was designed in the early 1970s by Wayne Overbeck, N6NB, now a silent key, as well as several others. It was highlighted in ARRL's QST magazine in 1977, 1978, and 1982. They tested two different models for the 70 centimeter, a 15 element that they intended for EME, Earth, Moon, Earth, and then they came out with a more manageable 8 element version, which is the one that we're building and testing here today. It's a hybrid antenna. The back end is basically taken from the cubical quad antennas, and the front end is taken from the more familiar Yagi antennas. So the thing with the cubical quad antenna is really efficiency drops off after you add more than 2 director elements. You really get no more gain by adding more director elements to a cubical quad. But if you add the front end of a Yagi antenna to the back end of the cubical quad, you can stretch it out and get continuous gain much like you would with a regular Yagi antenna. And the benefits of the cubical quad is that it feeds well. You don't need a gamma match or other form of match. It just connects directly to the coax cable. And the efficiency of having a loop antenna gives you a little bit broader range, broader frequency range for the antenna. Simple design, easy to construct, but great performance. And so I'll walk through how I actually made this. So the construction is fairly straightforward. The beam is just a 1-inch PVC pipe. The director elements are 1/8 inch brass welding rods. And on the rear end is the back half of a cubical quad. I designed and 3D printed a frame that holds the wire. So basically you just have to wrap the wire around this, add a connector for it, and you've got the reflector and the driven element. Construction was easy, straightforward, and the cost was, like I said, the whole antenna cost me about $25. The wire, that was about 4.5 feet of TW wire, which is recommended in the article, in Wayne Overbeck's article. The wire was about $4.50 expensive because I bought a small quantity of it. The PVC pipe itself was about $7 for 10 feet. This is about 5.5 feet, the whole length of the boom. PVC caps on the ends, $1 a piece, so that's an extra $2. The brass rods came out to about $1 each, so that was $6. The end connector was about $3. 2 screws for it, $1, because I bought them just 2 screws. The 3D filament, maybe $1, if that. So a very cheap build. It's just putting in the time to do it. And I'll walk through how I did that. This is the chart from Wayne Overbeck's article, which shows the dimensions of the antenna. We're using the data in the right column, that one for 446 megahertz. I designed the 3D frame elements to fit 1-inch PVC pipe, and I recommend them to be printed on PETG or ABS or something that's very heat resistant because it'll be outdoors. On the driven element frame, I mounted the N bulkhead connector to the frame, and then I soldered the 12 gauge solid wire directly into the center conductor of the bulkhead connector. Now you can use a UHF bulkhead connector, SO239, instead of an N connector, but for this frequency I prefer the N connector. The frame itself has grooved edges, so as you form the wire around the frame, it will hold it in place in the groove sections. And then I designed in slots along the edge to secure the wire to the frame with zip ties. On the other end of the wire, I crimped on a loop connector and secured it to a bolt on the base of the end connector, on the bulkhead connector. For the reflector element, it's assembled pretty much the same way. The wire is formed around the frame and then secured with zip ties. There's a notch on one side of the frame. The ends of the wire loop should overlap at this notch. The gap allows the two ends to be soldered without melting the plastic. When assembled on the boom, the barrel ends of the driven element and the reflector are butted up against each other and bolted to the boom. On the 1-inch PVC pipe boom, I used a scrap of 1¼ inch PVC pipe as a guide to mark the appropriate distances on the boom. The 1¼ inch pipe nests nicely over the 1-inch pipe. This is the most important part, and that is drilling the holes for the director elements. They have to be perfectly perpendicular to the pipe, otherwise your elements are going to be crooked. And so I use a drill press to get a very straight drill through the pipe. And as I drill, I align each one of the elements with those adjacent to it. Now that the antenna is assembled, I finish up the aesthetics. I added PVC end caps to the boom to give it a more professional look, but also to keep bugs out. I have a problem with spiders around my house. And I finish it up by adding a coat of paint. And as always, if you're getting anything out of this or any of my videos, please like and hit that subscribe button. And now on to testing. I hooked up my Nano VNA analyzer and set it to sweep from 440 to 450 megahertz, the part of the band I plan to use. As you can see in the pictures, the SWR at 440 megahertz is 1.12 to 1, and the antenna is resonant at 442.2 megahertz with an almost perfect SWR of 1.007 to 1. At 450 megahertz, we still have a respectable SWR of about 1.56 to 1. Although I only swept from 440 to 450 megahertz, I'm sure this antenna will cover almost all of the 430 to 450 megahertz portion of the band. This is WK3U testing.
W03 Uniform Kilo Sierra 3 X-Ray KS3X. Name is Enoch Echo November Oscar Charlie Hotel. And I'm in Philadelphia. Over.
Oh, fine business, yeah. You caught me off guard. I forgot that this was linked to I think the East Coast reflector. Yeah, I'm just testing out an antenna with my HT. It's I'm about 15 miles from the repeater, and I'm using analog, so I'm getting into the repeater on analog. It's and the repeater is linked to the East Coast reflector.
I'm looking forward to it there. Got some things I want to do with my antenna system for HF, and just have to kind of wait and cool it until we get where you know, to move around a little better. And I certainly don't want to go up on my roof in this mess, that's for sure.
Fine business. Well, thanks again for the QSO, and yeah, we'll look for you again in the future. Yeah, you're doing fine in your repeater there. But have a great weekend. Stay warm, and hope to catch you again. KS3XWK3U73. So, a successful test. Now, 15 to 16 miles is not an incredible range, but it's all I had to work with. And for an HT with only 5 watts at ground level, I thought it was a pretty successful test. Now, as Wayne points out in his article, there's a lot of factors that influence the SWR and resonance of the antenna. The difference between TW versus THHN housing wire will change the resonant frequency. Even just stripping off the insulation will affect the SWR. So a lot of these things play into, you know, the final results. But my intent was to make this as turnkey as possible. Just print out the quad frame elements, buy the rest of the parts, and just put it together, and it works. The article also points out it's not advised to use a 1-to-1 balun, as the losses will really counteract any benefits that you gain from that, but it does recommend putting a choke in the line. Anyway, these parameters worked for me. I hope that if you build this antenna that you come to the same results, that you get the same great working antenna that I did. And otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. And as always, stay tuned. 73.